All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me are the people that I can't remember my damn lines. There are so few things that I tried
There's
to
no
do the
lines.
same.
There's no lines. This isn't rehearsed.
I rehearse my intro. I'm allowed to rehearse my intro. I have memory problems. Hi everybody.
See, it's all scripted. It's script games.
It's all scripted. It's my favorite thing to read about Critical Role. It's all scripted. It's not. They're professional actors and they're good at what they do. It's not possible. Watch Whose Line Is It Anyway and watch the nonsense that Wayne Brady pulls out of his ass when they ask him to sing. It's the same damn thing. Wayne Brady and I think it's Chip is the other one that's really good when they pair him up with Wayne. They will harmonize live improvised music. It's because they're damn good at what they do. It's the same thing with Critical Role. They're just very, very good at what they do.
I just loved it when a writer spoke up. I was like, "Hey, do you have any idea what it takes to write a script? Do you know how?"
I do. That's the other thing I don't think people really acknowledge is like you realize like for Rings of Power, which compared to a single season quote unquote of Critical Role is like 1/64th the amount of material, 1,000th the amount of material.
The reams of paper alone.
And it takes them like 3 months to write the scripts. And that's after, 9 months of pre-production. The idea that Matt is writing 5 hours of content a week. First of all, he's not getting paid enough if he's doing that. Second of all, I think the WGA would kill him. Like, they would send an assassin out and it's like, fuck, as soon as they figure out that we can write that much in a week, like, our writers are dead. You will get us all killed. Hi, everybody. This is The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Normally, I attempt to play Dungeons and or Dragons with these people because they're awesome, and my brain isn't working today. So, Imp will be DMing the game. Have fun.
Cool. You all level up. Easy. Fucking done. Great.
Announcements. There was a D&D Direct yesterday where they announced a bunch of new products that are coming out. Some of which we already know about: the Player's Handbook, the DMG, the Monster Manual. They also announced 3 other new books that will be coming out next year. There's a book about dragons in dungeons. 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons, they have never put out a book where it's specifically about dragons in dungeons, and they have example combats for a bunch of different... I mean, it seems weird. Another thing they've never done in 50 years, the Player's Handbook, the 2024 Player's Handbook, will have the actual rules of how to play the game before character creation options. So that if you open the book and read it through, you actually know what the frickin' options mean. And I find
Does
that...
the glossary come before that, or is it after that?
The glossary would be at the end.
Is it the end?
Yeah.
I can't remember what the placement was. And they were talking
Oh,
about,
no. Are you talking about like the Rules Cyclopedia thing?
No, because they're talking about in the Player's Handbook. They gave a glossary.
Yeah, they have this really cool thing. I have no idea where it's going to be in the book. I don't think they mentioned that. But they did specifically say that every single tabletop RPG book starts with the introduction where it goes, what is a role-playing game? And then it will tell you about the role-playing game and go, get ready to have lots of fun with your friend playing this great TTRPG. And then it immediately goes into character options. And you don't understand what any of the character option means because you don't know how the game plays. And then, like, after they go through races and classes and backgrounds and everything else that they want to, eventually they will get to, oh, by the way, this is how you play our game. And it's one of my biggest gripes whenever I review a new RPG is just put the rules first. I don't want to have to skip ahead 4 chapters and then come back to figure out if I like these character options or not. Because I don't know what any of it means. So yeah, they're doing that. And because I gripe on that, on my YouTube channel, I think that is definitive proof that Wizards of the Coast watches my stuff. So you're welcome, everyone. This is my gift to you. So yeah, that stuff really, really cool. Also, Tristan Falcone is apparently working on the Monster Manual because they interviewed them on there, and Tristan got to kind of talk about how much they love all the stuff they're doing in the Monster Manual. And Tristan Falcone is a massively cool person. They're from. They did stuff on Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team, and they were actually in Who's He What's It. They were in Strip Search, which was Penny Arcade's reality TV show where they were looking for the next great webcomic. And Tristan, actually, I kid you not, the best thing about Strip Search is instead of everyone being there like, oh, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to win, and them all like trying to backstab each other, because they're all like artists and creative types, they just bonded. Like they all, like even when they were going head to head where one of them was going to go home, they're like joking with each other and like it was just great. But Tristan, I kid you not, because they would have the little camera interviews, she goes, I'm not here to make friends. And then like halfway, like 3 or 4 episodes later, she gets in front of the camera and she's just bawling. She's like, I didn't realize, like I kept looking everyone here like they were my enemy and that, and I finally like took my barriers down and got to know these people as human beings, and they're the greatest people ever. And I don't care if I win or not. I just want to be friends with all these amazing people. And it's the most wholesome thing ever.
Then they would send people home in a car, but they were like, no, hold on. And there's like Mike and Jerry would like get in the car and like, yeah, so anyway. And they're like, yeah.
Because the only time they would meet Mike and Jerry would be at these art off things where they'd be required to create an entire comic strip in like 2 hours. And the entire time, Mike and Jerry would just make fun of them and like harass them and try and make them fight. Like they do things like, Katie, how horrible of an artist do you think your opponent is? And Katie would be like, I don't know. I think they're pretty good. Oh, do you think you're going to win? Well, yeah. And then they turn to the other guy. It's like, Kevin, Katie thinks you're really shit at what you do. How do you respond? And they're both in the same room, like 10 feet apart. So they could hear everything. And they're like, no, she didn't. It was just it's the most wholesome thing ever. And so, yeah, afterwards, this is the only time they've met Mike and Jerry. And so afterwards, they're sitting in a car and they're doing like an exit interview. They're like, how do you feel? And then Mike and Jerry would just jump into the car and they're like, hey, we just wanted to let you know, your shit was really, really awesome. And you're a super cool person. There's only going to be one winner and we had to choose one. And it was amazingly cool stuff. Go watch it. It's on YouTube.
I don't remember anyone being the problem person.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, like, no one was like the asshole everyone has a problem with. Like, why are you on the show? Because every other show's fucking scripted, and that's the reason why they have the asshole that's in that shows up.
So, yeah, no, it's really, really cool. So those things are cool. They showed off some of Project Sigil, which is the new 3D tabletop that they're going to be the open beta or closed beta, whatever it is. There's a beta happening this fall. They showed off they're going to have a mini maker, so you can create your own little custom mini. That'll be really cool. They're going to have they showed off a little bit of the GM tools that you can use to kind of build your own maps and stuff like that. They look great. I am super pumped about that. So yeah, I am mildly excited about Sigil. It can still go horribly wrong. Like, they haven't shown us everything that proves that it's not just a huge money grab.
It's early technology. I promise you, it will go wrong.
It will go wrong. But
that's the way it always goes. It starts off workable for a while, and then they fix bug, and then they fix more bug, and they fix more bug, and then eventually it get better. Like anything.
So, anyway, cool stuff going on there. As far as other tabletop RPG news, I can't think of anything really big, which doesn't surprise me because when D&D is making big announcements, you just don't say anything. It's not a smart thing to try and announce something the same day that Wizards of the Coast is doing something. Oh, there's going to be another D&D set for Magic the Gathering, and the last set was really cool. So if you want to like summon Karlach with red mana, you can soon. So that's cool. Anything
Just give me a card.
else?
Just give me a card that summons Karlach. It just does you need to be a game. I just want to summon Karlach.
Yeah. The artwork they showed off. They showed off artwork for Karlach and I think Asterion were the two cards that they showed. And so you have an actual card where you can summon Karlach, and then they had a couple other ones which are like attacks that involve Karlach. And the artwork is freaking amazing. Like Magic the Gathering, even if you don't like collectible card games and stuff like that, the artwork has almost always been top notch.
Yeah, they've always excelled at that.
Like they do a lot to get like the best artists that they can, and yeah, one of the episodes of Strip Search actually, Wizards of the Coast came over and had them draw art for one of their characters. I can't remember her name. Chandra. There we go. One of their fire planeswalkers. So yeah. Anything else going on right now in the tabletop world?
Comes to mind. I mean, you just go out there and search Kickstarter. I'm pretty sure you'll find
Yeah, I mean, every other week. I think, oh, yeah, that's what it was. Monty Cook Games just launched a new Kickstarter for, it's called Appalachia, something Appalachia, but it's their kind of Native American themed setting for the Cypher system. And so they just started a new Kickstarter. They're going to be starting a new Kickstarter soon for the next release in that series. They just kickstarted the actual core book of that series like last year or the year before. So, yeah. Monty Cook Games puts up a new Kickstarter like every 3 months like clockwork. It's nonsense. I've backed one of the past 3. And it got me like 4 books. So it's not that I was upset about it, but holy shit, do they just keep more and more and more and more and more. And they're a really big company. Like, they don't need to kickstart every single thing. Just sell a book. Reinvest your profit. Like, that's the point. That's how businesses used to run.
I know that with you were who for diet
Mm-hmm.
with every couple of weeks there's a new Kickstarter for the new diet set.
Well, you can't expect them to pay their own startup costs. Part of me really wants to look at the books for someone like Monty Cook Games or the dice company you just said that my brain has already forgotten. Because, yeah, so the reason that there are some companies that are able to pay very little to no, what's it called? Profit tax, effectively. Income tax, there we go. It's why some businesses are are able to pay very little to no income tax, is if you take, because income only counts profit as far as like corporate taxes are concerned. So if you take all of your profit and you reinvest it in the business, you can reduce, you can't do all of it, but there's a certain amount of your profit based on your revenue stream that you're allowed to just reinvest in the business, and you don't have to pay taxes on that. And that's the largest way that most businesses reduce their income tax requirements. And it's done on purpose. They want companies reinvesting their money. I don't know what in the hell Monty Cook Games is doing, but it seems like they never reinvest a damn thing because they kickstart everything. Every single time they try to do something new, it's like, well, we need your money again. And they make a good product, don't get me wrong. I love my Cypher System stuff, but put out a book without kickstarting it. You're a big company now. I think you could do it. Old man yelling at clouds rant over.
I I will say I will give a shout out because this seems to be an interesting system because I've been watching their streams. Brett Ultimus's has a IO publishing company. There's one. It's basically it starts off with like it's how they're handling. They're coming with the systems and options for crafting and materials, but it's also like they also have things for like combat, new interesting ways to have combat involved, stuff like that. So the first one that's out now is why slay dragons when you could be fishing. And so that's what it's called.
Really?
You don't have to be fishing, but there is a bunch of there's like
No, I.
there is a section for 200 different types of fish, but
That's a
there is like
clever title.
there's battle mechanics and stuff that they've also introduced, and there's like a new one, and there's a new one on Backer's Kit, Fiendish Forge, and it's another concept of like different types of battle mechanics, doing new things with D&D Fifth Edition, that kind of thing. It's
Very
another
cool
thing
stuff.
that's on Backer Kit right now.
That was the other thing I forgot to mention. One of the things they mentioned very, very briefly during the D&D Direct, they do have an expanded list of official partners for D&D 5.5, let's call it, where, you know how we've been seeing things from like Kobold Press and Ghostfire Games being published on D&D Beyond now, so you can buy their books and use them on D&D Beyond in the character builder and stuff like that. They're expanding that list. I think they showed like a dozen names. The ones that I picked out, Kobold Press was there, Ghostfire Games was there, MCDM, so Matt Colville's company, is an official partner, despite the fact that he's making his own RPG, and everyone's like, oh, he's going to take down D&D. That was never the intent. He just wanted something that doesn't play like D&D. And from everything I've heard, it looks badass. So I can't wait for that to come out. It has a name too that I can't remember what it's called anymore, but it has a name.
Draw Steel is
That's it. Yeah. So Draw Steel looks friggin' awesome, guys. But yeah, MCDM is.
Did you let Dale Kingsmill name it?
I think we failed him. But yeah, MCDM's on there, Ghostfire Games, Kobold Press. Like I said, there was close to a dozen names on there. So, yeah, the fact that companies can sell things on D&D Beyond is a massive, massive deal. Like,
I am curious if I am curious about if they will still keep third party, just 5th edition, not 5.5 or just. I wonder if they'll still keep doing that
because they did it as part of the 5.5 presentation. I believe like MCDM and Ghostfire and all those people are creating things for 5.5. Which again,
what I'm saying is, I wonder if they'll still offer that for just 5.
Oh,
I don't know if they will.
That's
I
fascinating.
wonder because other people are just going to be doing the work. I mean, I would think logically like just makes sense. If someone else is going to do it, you sell it on D&D Beyond, go for it.
Well, and that's something that I'd like to see, because this might be a first step to a DM's Guild style situation with D&D Beyond. DM's Guild, you can already sell Roll20 and Foundry versions of your stuff on the DM's Guild. So if I wanted to, like my custom classes, the Dragon Knight and the Blood Knight, I have a thing for knights. I could sell both of those on Roll20 and on Foundry if I wanted to. The big thing stopping me is, first of all, I don't know how to develop for either of those two platforms, so I'd have to learn how to convert it. And second of all, Roll20 doesn't allow for a pay what you want. It's either free or costs money. And I think the stuff from the DM's Guild, you have to charge a minimum amount on Roll20. And I don't want to play with that. So, but yeah, I would love to be able to put the Dragon Knight and the Blood Knight on D&D Beyond. If for no other reason than it allows my players to play the classes that I spent so long designing. And technically, because my classes don't really interact with the base version, all the stuff that's being changed in 5th edition, aside from probably feats, my classes are already quote-unquote updated for 5.5, because they don't use spells. They all have abilities that I built into them. And unless certain mechanics massively change, like I'd probably have to go back through and look at weapon mastery and what that does to a few of the abilities. That'd probably be the only thing I'd have to change for it. So... yeah. cool. Suffice it to say, cool stuff is happening that is very anti monopolistic. You know, if they really wanted to corner the market, they wouldn't allow third-party publishers to publish on their proprietary platform, and they wouldn't be advertising Sigil as being available to use for systems that are not D&D. And they're not.
Well, also, if they were, they never would have gone Creative Commons.
Yeah, like they've been doing so many things that really have been beneficial for players in general and just the community itself.
So I think now all they have to do is release the monster manual, and then they'll go Creative Commons.
They're going to update the SRD to the 5.5 version after the monster manual is out, simply because the SRD contains monster manual stuff and DMG stuff. And so it would be a waste of their time to update it after the player's handbook.
That's what they were holding off for so long. So I just want...
Monster Manual comes out in, I want to say January or February. And then the SRD, the new Creative Commons SRD, will be out, I think, like a couple weeks or a month later, so that they have enough time to deal with any issues that they might not have caught before publishing. So, yeah, I've seen a fair amount of the artwork from all the new books. It all looks really awesome, except for this strange Mexican orc thing, but whatever. It's one poorly thought out art piece compared to thousands in there. So, yeah, cool stuff is going on. And that makes me excited. Yeah, as far as if you guys are expecting, as soon as the Player's Handbook 5 comes out, this entire stream and all of my stuff to instantly upgrade to 5.5, you're probably going to be upset. I'm going to be getting early access to it, so in a week, I guess, I'll be able to look at the Player's Handbook. But if any of my players want to use the new options, basically the same thing that happened when Tasha's launched, it'll be, okay, if there's something that you guys want to use, just let me know what it is, and I'll figure out if I think it's going to mess up our game. Oh, I guess that was the other big announcement. People were freaking out about the original plan when 5.5 launched was the tooltips, and just the tooltips. Nothing else, just the tooltips on your character sheet, which is basically what happens when you either mouse over or click on something, would automatically reference the 2024 version of spells and magic items if there was. And everyone freaked out about it because, well, what if I wanted to use the old ones? And a lot of people started claiming they're deleting the 2014 version. It was never true. It was never going to be true. It just wasn't going to pop up in your tooltips. And if you wanted to actually look up what the spell did, you'd just have to go to opening up the Player's Handbook in D&D Beyond or going to the compendium, which takes 3 clicks. They heard the outrage and a lot of the people complaining about stuff that wasn't real. And they have made it so that even once everything goes live, if you want to use the old versions of things, there'll apparently be effectively a toggle that you can just kind of click when you're creating your character that will default everything to the old version stuff. So that in and of itself is really, really nice for people that don't want to complicate a game that they've been playing for years by changing how the rules work midway through the campaign. So very, very nice. Very, very useful. So anyone that was worried about that, they heard you and they fixed it. And we're assuming because of that, all the changes were supposed to go live yesterday, and now they're not going live until next week.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's because they had to change stuff.
To implement the things that
Yeah.
they are doing to make things happy. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, probably not going to happen.
Makes sense. Like, I wasn't going to have access to any of it until the 6th anyways. So I'm like, I don't care. Oh, that was another cool thing that they mentioned. Game stores can sell copies of physical books 2 weeks earlier than the actual launch date. So, like, I get early access on the 6th to the Player's Handbook. Game stores can start selling it on the 3rd. So, if you guys don't understand why that's such a big deal, it's because it gives people a reason to go to game stores versus Amazon. And game stores can't compete with Amazon. It's physically impossible. Amazon will always be able to sell it cheaper, and will always be more convenient than a game store. So the fact,
also Amazon. It's ironic considering how Amazon got its start, and now Amazon is really not great towards publishers.
yeah, like I use Amazon because I'm disabled and I have no money, and I need to. But it's not a fantastic company, and we're using an Amazon service right now because they own Twitch. But to be fair, Twitch probably treats its streamers and everything better than any other live streaming platform currently on the market. So subsidiaries, just because they're owned by a horrible company, do not always reflect the decisions of their ownership company. Yeah, overall, really, really great thing. They're also going to be providing like free adventures and stuff to game stores, which they used to do years ago. And then they stopped doing it for a while, and apparently they're going to start doing it now so that when people come in and buy the new books 2 weeks early, they can also go, hey, if you want to stick around, we're running an adventure that uses the stuff in this new book tonight, which is another fantastic thing for game stores. So awesome stuff there. That's how I got my start in D&D. For anyone that doesn't know, like, I called up a game store that advertised that they did Wednesday night encounters programs, which is what the in-game program used to be called. And I called them up and said, hey, do you guys do D&D encounters? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, what would I need to play? Like, well, why don't you just come in? Like, we're going to have the DM here that's going to be running everything. Just come into the store. He'll explain everything. We have everything you need to be able to play. Like, you can pick up your dice and everything right here. And I said, okay. And I walked in the store, met this dude named Ben, who was my first dungeon master. And yeah, now I have an entire YouTube channel where most of the shit that I talk about is tabletop RPGs.
And that's how we claim Jody's soul.
Yep, and I'm going to hell.
Yes.
I have
Sling dice in hell, kids. The devil gives you advantage.
I have made Congress with the devil. We have to go to Congress? So yes. Anyway, I have been talking long enough. Do you guys want to play Dungeons and Dragons? We left this thing on a bit of a cliffhanger, so...
Yeah, I still got time.
All right. So, it is time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. A familiar face has re-emerged. The party returned to the small town of Klausgate. The town where this entire portion of the adventure began, when the commander awoke here, not sure of how he got here. He eventually went and rescued the rest of the members of the party from their various cages and prisons of torment. But unfortunately, the Dark Lord had other plans. Ripped his soul from his body and left it to die. Now the party has dealt with 2 of the 4 generals of the Dark Lord, and they heard that a pair of generals awaited them in Klausgate. When they arrived, they found a city that was seemingly deserted. They eventually made contact with some members of the local guild. and they discovered that it is illegal and dangerous to be seen on the streets at any time. The guild itself had created a vast underground warehouse with which to keep all of their goods, their horses, so that they would need to be on the roads as little as possible. As the party went out and started looking around the city, they obtained a map from a young child that indicated a building on the west side of the city with a happy face. When they got there, they discovered the building itself was not just dilapidated, but also seemed to be inhabited. After speaking with a local rodent, they were able to discover that it might not be the safest place in the world. And as they were trying to figure out why it had been marked with a smiley face, they suddenly heard a sound that they'd been warned to fear. The sound of wagon wheels and hooves on cobblestone. As they looked out, they saw a carriage being pulled by a horse. When the carriage opened, a young woman wearing a gown stepped out, and behind her, a man with a sword on his hip came out. And as they looked upon his face, they recognized the face of the commander whom they had buried weeks earlier. And that is where we return. So, to bring us all back up to speed, when we last left, Argenta, you had the conversation with the rat, right? If you're saying something, I can't hear you. Well, we're going to accept that, and when Argenta gets back, they can... Are you there?
What happened?
I was just confirming. You had the conversation with the rats, right?
Yeah.
And they told you about the fun stuff that happened in the building you guys are currently in.
Yep.
And then you informed the rest of the party.
Yep.
And then you guys heard the sound. You looked out and you saw a strange woman that looked kind of like the commander. And then the commander walked out of the carriage, right? And that's where we ended?
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, you guys are all in the building. Why don't...
We had previously rolled stealth to hide.
Yeah. I think you guys rolled relatively well. So, yeah, you guys, as far as you can tell, they don't seem to be aware of you personally. You're not sure what's caused them to come out of the carriage at this particular place, but they don't seem to be looking at you. As they come out, you can see that they're having a conversation, but they're far enough away from the building, and you guys are kind of in awkward spots to prevent from being seen. So they're far enough away that you can't really hear what it is that they're saying. But every so often, they'll kind of gesture around. The girl laughs every so often. The commander doesn't seem to be laughing very much. He doesn't. His facial expression doesn't change much, which is not outside of the commander that you remembered. You know, he tended to be a relatively stoic person. So, what do you all want to do?
So they're still outside. They've stopped here, but they have full on dismounted and everything, correct? So like they're like having a chat by the car before they come to the driveway.
Effectively, I'm going to see if this is going to work. Yes. Okay. So effectively, like you guys are all hiding in this part of the building, and they are basically right here. So in between these two houses, and there's a carriage. It's drawn by a pair of horses, but you don't see a driver. And then, yeah, the carriage itself
I'm
is
going to be
large enough.
100% honest. I'm trying not to look at the stream map. You have some things highlighted on there. I don't think
Oh,
I should.
sorry.
I'm fine. I just like, oh, what's that over? Oh,
Forgot
my
about
brain's
that,
stuck. I'm
yeah.
like,
Well, the fun thing about that is those things can move. And so they are.
that's why I was just like, I was just going back and forth. I'm glancing over, and then my brain starts noticing. And I'm like, ah.
No, I keep forgetting. It'd be really nice if there could be like a streamer mode where it doesn't show the stuff in the GM layer.
Oh,
There. Now anything you did see is no longer valid. So. Or is it? You don't know. Anyway.
I don't see a GM layer.
What was that?
You did not see a GM layer.
And I just went to the starting soon screen so that no one could see anything. All right, we're done with that. So anyway, yeah, they're roughly right there. And again, they kind of. And the carriage itself is large enough that you could probably relatively easily fit. If they're friendly, you could probably fit 6 people in there without too much difficulty. More likely, than not, the average capacity of a carriage like this would be 4 people.
It's like
With-
stagecoach size.
Yeah, roughly.
Is it just 2 horses or like a team of horses?
Just 2.
Okay. So I guess like Rowan's like above there, and he's like looking there. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm gonna feed into something.
Mm-hmm.
Observant.
Sure.
What are they saying?
The few times that you can actually read their lips, you only get kind of bits of conversation. A lot of times it'll be like directions like over there, because a lot of times like their back will turn away from you, or there'll be something obscuring
Sure.
you. So the few bits of dialogue that you can pick out are them like saying over there. You do get laughing every so often, which you don't need to read lips to be able to tell. And then the few time, like more often than not, you're able to read the girl's lips more than the commander's. And the girl has mentioned a few times that she's bored, that you've been able to pick out. But you're not sure, like again, she keeps like turning away and stuff like that, so you'll only get these tiny bits of the conversation.
Can I tell like when she is apparently joking or saying a joke? Can I observe what the subject matter is when she's saying it, or is that like when she's turned away?
A lot of times you don't see a punchline. Like the commander doesn't say anything and then she laughs. So you're not sure, and she's not saying a punchline. So you're not sure if she's laughing at something that she sees, just laughing at herself, whatever. There's been a few times where she's been away, her head's been turned or something, and then as she turned around, you saw her start laughing. So it's possible there was a punchline that you just didn't read, but you've distinctly seen at least 2 instances of her just laughing.
So these are like, is this just one big estate, or is it like there are multiple?
The place that you're in right now,
I mean, like down the street.
these are all multiple houses.
Okay. Is within each house, would there be like like places to hide if you got closer to them, like bushes or anything?
If you could get inside the house, there's tons of places to hide. All the windows are boarded up and stuff like that. So it'd be very easy to hide inside the house. As far as things between you and them, not really. Like the property that you're on right now is a bit overgrown. But there's nothing really large enough that a medium-sized creature could hide behind it without being very noticeable.
So there's no like if there is is there a house closer to them that has like hedges and stuff? I guess is what I'm asking.
Not the houses that are here. Hedges,
Okay.
topiary, stuff like that, just doesn't seem to be extremely common in the little bit of the city that you've seen. Again, you've basically walked around the outside of the city, so you've only been able to see houses that are on the very edge. And all of them seem to be relatively bare as far as anything other than the house itself.
But you did say that there was a house that was closer, that if I could get inside, I'd be closer to them.
Yes, but there's a street in between you and that house. Basically, if you look at the map, like you guys are here, they're right in between this yellow house and this blue house. So if you could get to either of those two houses, you'd be much, much closer. You could probably hear everything they're saying. But the problem is there's a
how
street between you.
how long across is the street?
Uh,
I think I know what Argenta's planning.
I think so too. Probably no more than maybe, I don't know, from where you are right now to the other house, you might be looking at maybe 40, 45 feet. The roads themselves are only about like anywhere, but like this outer road is kind of wide. So it's like 15, 20 feet wide. The rest of the roads in here tend to stick to around the 10 to 15 foot width.
All right. So then what I will do, uh, just to make sure that I can make the distance,
Mm-hmm.
Argenta will, let me just make sure that this will work. Okay, so she's going to etherealness and basically, well, the turn before I'll long strider, just kind of make myself faster, and the etherealness to with my, what is that called? Ethereal step.
Okay.
And I have 50 feet of movement, and I'll just kind of make my way in the ethereal plane across the street.
Okay. I will mention,
Mhm.
while you're in the ethereal plane, you're not invisible, you're translucent. So there's still a possibility they could see you. So I'm going to need a stealth check.
Uh, 23.
23. Yeah, they notice you instantly. No. Yeah, as you walk past, I'm assuming like Argenta understands they're not invisible. So they would time it to, bye Imp, we'll miss you. You're back.
Yeah, I was just saying, it's like I don't know if you caught any of that. Everybody just suddenly froze up on me, and I had a connection and everything, but for some reason,
It
both
happens.
Twitch and Zoom, nothing's conked out.
So anyway, Argenta, you would kind of understand that there's a chance that they could see you, so you would kind of time your run with when they were facing away. Because you can, that's 50 feet around, right?
Yeah.
And that's single moving, right? That's not,
Yep.
that's just your movement speed. So yeah, if you can cover 100 feet in 6 seconds, like, you can get across when they're looking the other way.
Less a run and more of a ghost.
So my question for you, are you aiming for this yellow house here? Or were you going to try and go for the blue one? It'd be more difficult to go to the blue one, but with a 23, you're kind of good either way.
Whichever's closer.
Okay, so you get to the yellow, and are you going to walk through the wall to get inside of it, or are you going to try and hide behind it?
I'll go through the wall to get inside of it.
Okay. So as you come in, the first thing that you notice is a very large man that's kind of standing there, who is almost as white as you are right now, as you walk through the door and almost run into this person sitting there. And with a training that you can't begin to fathom how they kind of train their body to do this, he's able to reach down and pick up a weapon without making a sound, be completely shocked by you. He doesn't gasp, he doesn't say anything, but he immediately picks up a weapon and brings it to bear against you. And as this is all happening, why don't you give me a perception check real quick? just to see how much you notice while also staring at a blade.
22.
22. Yeah, you don't see anything. Yeah. Looking around and, again, seeing this very worn weapon. Like, this is... You probably would not wield a weapon like this because you would be worried that with how much work you kind of put into your weapons, you'd be afraid that it would break in the middle of a battle. But he's wielding it. And as you kind of look down the blade and you look into his eyes and he's terrified, you look around and you can see a younger looking woman, probably in her early to mid to 20s, sitting there clutching this young girl and young boy. The boy might be 3 years old. The girl maybe 4. And they're both kind of like hugging, like almost getting lost in the dress of their mother as they're just kind of clinging onto her legs, and she's kind of, holding their heads and doing that, and she's silent as well. What would you like to do?
So I don't become physical just yet.
Okay.
Um, I'm just. It'll be like that moment you see a ghost kind of just appear at you, as I'm just gonna fly through him into the back of the house instead of being in the house.
Okay.
So I'm not. So it's mostly because she doesn't want to implicate them in case anything goes south.
Makes sense. So
Yeah,
you're
do the anachronistic ghost.
So, does that mean you're no longer inside the house? You're outside and behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then do you shift back to the material plane?
Once I end my turn. So yeah,
Okay.
I would.
So yeah, you go through. You see this guy, he pulls a sword on you, and then you just kind of give him one of those looks like, seriously, and then you leave. And when you kind of coalesce, because there is an entire building between you and them, you can hear their voices, but they're a little bit too faint to pick up much more than basically what Raoul was getting. If you want to get a little bit closer and pick up everything, I just need another stealth check.
Yep, this is why I remembered. I noted that I cast Pass Without Trace last session.
Oh, yeah!
Yep.
Wouldn't the Pass Without a Trace have gone away once you cast Speak with Animals, though? Because that's a concentration, too.
No, I cast it at the very end of last session.
Ah, yes! Now I remember.
And, and technically, the animals thing was first, and then passed
Yep.
out traits.
Yep. Okay,
So-
yeah, add 10 to anything you do.
Yep, which is good because that becomes a 21.
21. Cool. So you're slowly kind of sneaking around the house. And again, something that's really shocking to you is just how little cover there is outside this house. Normally outside a house, even without hedges and stuff like that, there'd be like a water barrel. Or maybe like a little workshop station where you might like, clean your horse's hooves off or something. Like there's normally some. There is nothing out here, and it's really perplexing. But you move slowly enough that you are able to get close enough, and you start picking up bits of the conversation. And by the time you get there, you're hearing, "Oh, Vinny, it's just not fun anymore. I just used to be we could wander around and like people would be there, and then we could have so much fun, but now they're not here. It's not fair. I'm so bored." And then you hear a much deeper voice that you recognize. "You seem to not be content with anything. First, you don't want to see anyone, and now you don't see anyone, and you're upset about it. I simply can't keep you happy, can I?" "But Vinny, it's just not fair. I want to do something. The Dark Lord said this would be much more fun, and it's not." "I don't know what to tell you." "Fine, I'll go and make my own fun." And you hear the sound of heeled shoes walking in your direction. What do you want to do?
We need to relocate because we no longer have stealth. We don't know.
I
I think
mean,
we're out of range, right?
Well, I
I'm
mean,
going-
you guys are hidden. Unless you move, you don't need to re-roll a stealth check.
she's going to use just to be sure about it. What's it called? A use of nature's veil and make herself invisible so that she can
Okay.
like peer around the edge and see exactly what she's doing.
Okay. So, as you sit there and you kind of focus on the nature around you, and you're trying, and you're probably the most frustrating thing for you right now is there's so little nature around you. Like, this is just wrong. And so you just go, well, wood works. And you slowly start to kind of meld into the wood itself to where, unless someone is looking directly at you, they would never be able to tell you were there. And effectively become translucent and invisible. And you see, again, this girl in kind of a modified, almost baby doll dress. Longer than you would see on like a young child wearing it. And long enough to require you to use your imagination for some things, but still showing off a decent amount of assets. And so you see this woman kind of coming over, and you can see in her hand is a wand that as soon as you see it, you get a bit of a chill that runs down your spine. Whatever it is, it's powerful and has a lot of magic behind it. And so she comes around and she just looks and she points the wand directly at you. And for a split second, you think, shit, she's seen me. And you realize, oh, she's not pointing it at me, because you start to see fire forming at the tip of the wand. You realize, oh, she wants to start a fire. And I just happen to be at a really nice place for a fire to start.
All right. So she's doing Avala.
Yes, very much so.
I would like to collect royalties.
You are more than welcome
How-
to come out of your hiding spot.
How far away?
Ball comes out. Trademark.
How far
Trademark.
away is the commander?
You can't even see him. He's around the corner. Like he's really bare minimum from where you are right now. He's at least 50 feet away,
Okay.
and there's
But
a building between you and him.
Can I see their carriage at all?
No, not from where you are. You had to move a little bit to avoid being seen. So
Well, I am invisible.
yeah.
Could I step out to where I see the carriage?
Can you move while under Nature's Veil? I thought it ended if you moved.
No, it's the Tasha's one. So
Oh,
essentially I'm invisible.
The one
until
that's
the-
actually useful, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, definitely. As long as again, because theoretically sound is a thing. Oh no, because you've passed without a trace on. Yeah, you're fine. Move wherever you want. You would have to move closer to her to be able to see the carriage. Even when you were eavesdropping, you couldn't really see the carriage because it was further out.
Oh, no, that's fine.
But yeah, you can move to where you can see it. Just you have to be quiet while you do it, which pass without a trace helps.
Because she knows what's in the house. She'll step out, see the carriage and commander, and will material plane shift using the cloak over there.
Okay.
And then just kind of like the predator, she unveils herself right next to commander.
Okay. What do you want to happen? When
Sorry,
he
cut
sees
to Relwyn.
Rowan's like, fuck. What would be the best result of you appearing in front of him? Do you want to startle him? Do you want to
Startle him so that she stops whatever she's doing.
Okay. So as she's sitting there and she's getting ready to make the fire, as you go and kind of to teleport over, you hear the familiar sound of flames being launched that you've heard Vala so long. But this is a nice house. So it's going to take more than a single kind of cast of even a very powerful fire spell. It's going to take a lot more than just a single casting of it. More likely than not, all that's going to happen is the wood itself is going to be scorched a bit. So you have a little bit of time. You teleport over there, and the teleportation of the cloak itself is not silent. Even inside the Pass Without a Trace, you still make some noise as you move. And so as you appear in front of the commander, his eyes narrow a little bit, and then you slowly start to reveal your form, and your expectation is him to grab his sword and draw it like you literally just dealt with. But as he's sitting there, he just looks at you, and he looks more annoyed than anything else. And he kind of crosses his arms. Well, that's different. And then, because I'm a phenomenal dungeon master that remembers absolutely everything I've ever written. But I 100% don't, and I have to remember what the girl's name is. So give me a second. I was proud that I remembered his name. And so he's sitting, he's like, well, that's odd. Elizabeth? Vinny, I'm working here. Elizabeth? Fine. And she comes around and she sees you standing there. And unlike Vinny, as he's been called, or the commanders, you know him, instead of being kind of like annoyed and perplexed, she's like, goody, Vinny, you found me a toy. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. What would you like to do? Hadn't thought that far ahead yet.
You did anticipate
So,
fuck around and find out?
so she's going to smile, cast haste,
Okay.
which will end Pass Without Trace. But you guys are hidden, so
As you cast haste, as you start mouthing the words for it, I think it's somatic components as well, right?
probably does.
Okay. So as you do it, you feel this strange feeling as Elizabeth kind of twitches her wand and the spell fails as it is countered.
Volatile counterspell to counterspell.
Unfortunately, she's at a place that you don't have line of sight of her, so you can't see her countering. It's a good try, but unfortunately, you need to be able to see it to be able to counter it.
So we don't see.
She went. Basically, what happened is she went in between these two buildings here to try and start a fire at the back, and she just barely came to the edge of the road, and Argenta and the commander are right here, but she's over
So I'm not
here.
seeing you click anything.
Because
I'm in the wrong layer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She. Can you guys see me here?
Yes.
Okay. So she actually went in between these two buildings here. And Argenta is right here with the commander, but she's still basically in between these two
so
buildings.
when she stepped into the street, but we're not in view of where she
Yeah,
stepped
you guys are way
Okay.
over here. So you have a building in
Okay.
between you and her.
what Argenta will do then? How far is she from? She's like a good 50 feet, like you said, right?
From where you are right now, I was counting like lateral distance of how far you would have to move.
Okay.
So yeah, she came back. Let's say she's within 20 feet.
All right. So what Argenta will do is she'll just, seeing that Commander doesn't recognize her, is not saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, again, the Predator, as she's turning, her form just goes invisible again, and she's just gonna book it 50 feet because a long strider.
Okay, and you're turning invisible using
Nature's Veil.
Nature's Veil again. Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start turning invisible, you start hearing, Vinny, that's not fair. I don't know that spell. She's cheating. Make her stop cheating. You wanted something to play with. I have found you something to play with. Dear gods, girl, is there nothing that will satisfy you? But she's cheating. It's not fair. I'm going to tell the Dark Lord and he's going to punish you. And as you are running, you feel an explosion happen behind you that, due to the fact that you can run 50 feet and not 30 feet, you are outside of the explosion. But just barely, as a fireball explodes behind you. And you see the commander just sitting there, and he kind of turns slightly, and all of the fire from the fireball seems to completely miss him.
This isn't unfamiliar to Argenta. We have a very similar entity
You're
in
sitting
our
there
group.
going, shit, Vala went evil! Vala,
Like,
you would
how-
recognize
how
a
are-
fireball
how are-
spell happening where...
You're here. How are you doing that? How are you?
And for you guys in the house, just because of how far away you guys are, the explosion happened so quickly after Argenta disappeared. Like, you're not 100% sure that the explosion didn't just disintegrate Argenta. Like, you saw her start to vanish and instantly an explosion.
At this point, Vala is getting concerned,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to try to maneuver myself into a position to get a better vantage on what's going on.
Sure. Stealth check.
Does 36 let me move silently?
No, not at all. They have a passive perception of 412. So, you guys, Vala doesn't exist anymore. Where do you want to go? With a 36, if you wanted to run across the street, you could. They're distracted enough by the fact that the predator has shown himself. Where do you want to go? Like, the 36 is enough to go anywhere you want.
I think I would try to run. Like I said, I want to get an angle on where I think that fireball came from.
Okay. So you can get basically to kind of the edge of the property here and then kind of crouch down. Because you guys can see there's this little kind of... There's a set of stairs right there, and then it goes up to this kind of, I don't know, deck kind of thing. And there's railings and stuff by the deck, and you're able to find an area where the railings themselves are opaque enough and they have enough stuff in front of them that you can hide there without too much difficulty. Okay. And you look around and you can see the girl is sitting there with a wand that, again, just looking at it, you can feel there is power behind that wand. Like, she obviously has a good grasp of magic in general, but there's something about that wand. It is amplifying her power. It's doing something to her that makes her extremely dangerous. And you recognize the kind of rush you feel after casting a fireball spell in her eyes. So you know where that fireball spell came from.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna sit here and kind of keep an eye on things then, for the moment.
All right.
Do I see? I'm assuming I don't see a pile of ash where Argenta was.
At this point, because a fireball just exploded, the two houses next to it are scorched, and some of the windows have been blown out. There's a lot of scorch marks and rubble and stuff there. Nothing that specifically looks like Argenta is there.
Okay.
And you don't see enough piles of junk in any one place that would kind of... Like, you start doing the calculations in your head of, if I turned Argenta into ash, how much ash would be? Because Argenta's kind of really built, and there's... Like, she's not huge, but she's dense. So that would make a lot of... Okay. You don't see a single pile that seems large enough to be Argenta.
Okay.
Argenta, you are still feeling the heat on your back from that explosion.
Yep.
What do you want to do?
So she, at the start of her turn, the invisibility would fade again like the predator, so they'd
Okay.
see me. Um, she kind of looks back, looks at where the two horses are secured into the carriage,
Mm-hmm.
and just because Commander's there for shits and giggles, will pull out Fury with one of the fire bullets and fire it where the horses are connected to the carriage to try and freak them out.
Okay, that is going to be a really difficult shot.
That is fine.
So go ahead and make an attack roll with disadvantage, and I'm also effectively going to give you the penalties of a sharpshooter shot. So it's also at a -5 to your attack roll,
All right.
because this is a hard shot to pull off.
Ugh. The nat 20 gets canceled out and I get a 16.
16 is still pretty damn good, especially with a -5. And you specifically, was it hot shot that you did?
Yeah.
Okay. And remind me, that one does that just do fire damage, or is it actually an explosion?
It does fire damage.
Okay, cool. So you sit there and you fire at and you're specifically looking for, you're specifically aiming for where the horses are connected to the carriage, right?
Yep.
So there's a couple different places, like you could actually aim for the things that they put over the horses, or there's a piece of wood effectively
That
actually
piece of
connects.
wood
Okay,
is
that's
what I
what
was
you're going
going
for.
for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you really. Sorry, I have to deal with a moron.
But what if we want a higher quality of viewers? Maybe we don't want the cheap ones.
That sounds like a you problem. All right, sorry.
Sorry,
Chatbots are fun. As you hit the wood itself, you watch as it absorbs the fire. And it still does normal damage, right? Or does it convert all damage to fire damage?
It's just piercing.
Okay, so it's because it still does normal damage. You still do damage the thing, but it's a decently thick piece of wood. So go ahead and roll the non-fire damage for me.
Yep. Technically, the carriage would have to make it. No, I'm kidding. No strength save.
Oh, it automatically fails the strength save.
Let's see.
Carriage is now.
Okay, there we go.
You've knocked the carriage prone.
It takes 9 points of damage.
9 points of damage. So you do some pretty significant damage to the point where it's not broken, but you think if they took a hard turn, the horses would leave without the carriage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But again, you do notice that the carriage seemed like you watch the little burst of fire just get absorbed into the carriage itself.
Makes sense. She's a pyromaniac. Let's just see what happens. Okay, the second shot goes really wide. But is there any reaction to fury from the commander?
The commander, the commander's expression just really doesn't seem to be changing much. He seems more annoyed than anything else about everything. Like, he hasn't even pulled out his blade yet. After you get your, is it only 2 shots? Yeah, because you're not a fighter.
Yeah.
After you get your 2 shots off, you still technically have a bonus action to, or no, you already did your move?
No, I'm moving
No, this is
another.
a new turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So I move another 50 feet, and then as my bonus action, I'll Misty Step another 30.
Okay. So the commander just kind of looks where you've gone. He just kind of shakes his head. And you hear Elizabeth go, "Ooh, Vinny, that's one of Daddy's. I didn't know Daddy was here. I thought the Dark Lord said that none of those were here. That's not what Dad used. He was a musketeer. He had a long gun. That's short. That's what vagabonds use. And he's not very good with it. Don't worry, you can still find him. But it's not fair! They're cheating! You know what? Fine. Whoever you are, stop. We're tired of this, and you're annoying my sister. Come back here, or my sister will start using the other things she has hidden around the town.
So at that, Vala will stand up, revealing her position,
Mm-hmm.
and say, you know, that sword and that wand, they seem really, really hot. Maybe you should drop them and get in your carriage. And I will cast Mass Suggestion at 4th level.
Okay, counterspell.
Can I counter the counterspell?
If you would like to. However, it is higher than 3rd level. Let's put it that way. So you do need to roll for it.
Sorry. I can't cast Mass Suggestion at 4th level. It's a 6th level spell.
Okay. Counterspell still goes out without a hitch. Again, you can counter it, but you're going to have to roll for the counter because it's
Well,
obviously...
either you roll or you can try and hope you got the
Yeah,
spell,
if you want to
but
cast it
still
at a
have to
higher
roll.
spell level.
I'm going to counterspell at 5th level.
Okay, I need you to roll.
Which I know is going to be because it just canceled my 6th level spell. I make a spell attack?
I have to look at the spell.
Well, both of your spellcasting classes are charisma, so it's a charisma check with. I think bards add your jack of all trades too.
Let me check it real quick.
Okay.
Because it's been a while since I've actually had to deal with a counter spell that wasn't just, oh, I counter it.
I mean, I used a 6th level spell. I'm pretty sure they don't make spell levels above that, but...
When you cast this, no. The DC, okay, so... If it is casting a spell of 4th level higher, make an ability check using your spell casting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. It's just a... Because you're a charisma-based spellcaster, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's just a flat charisma check.
Okay. So that's 23.
23. All right.
If I could ask, would Vala have still used a 5th level even though she still has to roll, or would Vala have...
I believe I
Well-
would still use the 5th level.
Yeah, Daniel knew when he cast the counterspell that it was bare minimum a 6th level counterspell, and still decided to use a 5th level spell slot for it.
I think it's because they're a warlock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was
There's
more
that
if I didn't
too.
want to metagame
Okay.
that I'm going to have to roll anyways, so...
All right. But yeah, I mean, Vala, you would recognize it's something that can cancel your 6th level spell slot. Was minimum a 6th level counterspell. Yeah, it's good enough. So, it's what's the save for your mass suggestion?
A wisdom saving throw of 19 or higher.
19 or higher, cool. Both of them just kind of look at you and go, no. Like, she just sits there and she's like, because she's mad that her counterspell didn't work. And Commander just looks at you and goes, no. And he just has one of those things like you had just told him to do that without a spell. It's like, your weapon's a cop, put them down. He goes, no.
What if I say pretty please?
Are there more of you?
I think Rowan is motioning to Lillian, just going, and he's not even like, should we
Yeah.
go? Or
There are
Um,
so many of us. Unbelievable numbers. We were sent here by the Dark Lord. Bring a little bit of fun to your day.
Roll a deception check with disadvantage, which might mean nothing to you, but
I'm gonna use my inspiration to make this a flat roll.
okay.
Ooh, 17.
He's like, no, he didn't. Stop lying. You're not good at it.
Nuh-uh.
I'm
All
not
right.
talking to you.
However
I'm talking
many,
to Lizzie.
however many of you are out there, come out. This is going to be much less painful if you do. And he
Painful.
just seems annoyed. So Rowan, Liliane, do you guys want to stay hidden or do you want to come out?
That's why Ron was like, should we? I guess.
Oh,
We
come
have-
on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, I don't think we're even trying to stealth her at this point.
No, no.
So as you see,
I probably would have come out right about the time the counter spell started.
okay.
Argenta will use that prime transition point, and she's right back at like the corner of that house where she originally started all of this, and just starts approaching them.
Okay, and at that point, because you effectively teleport behind Elizabeth,
Yep.
and so she goes ah, and she reaction casts a burning hands at you. So go ahead and just make a death
I
save.
counterspell that at 3rd level.
You've already used your reaction. Oh, she would have
Look-
used her
Well,
reaction
so
too.
did she.
Yeah, no, she can't. She can't actually do it.
Yeah,
You
use
see
her
her
reaction.
start. You see her start reaction, trying to cast it, and she just seems overwhelmed as you just walk past.
You're low
her.
on fluid. You gotta.
I just kind of pat her head on the way by.
She's hitting the
You
flint
have
on the
just-
side. You're like,
You have just pissed off. She is so mad at you right now. Like she just, without thinking, she just takes a swipe at you with nothing in her hand. Like she tries. If you want to let her hit her, you don't think she's going to do any damage if she hits you, but she just like tries to
I'll-
slap you.
I'll test it because I'm the best one possible for that.
Okay. Yeah, she hits you. It slightly stings because it's an open hand. Like she backhands you, so it's not fun, but it doesn't cause damage. You blush a
Argent-
little.
Argenta kind of shrugs. She's just like, I was playing with you.
Vinny, I don't like them. Okay. Is that all of you now?
For now.
Fine. Elizabeth, we have toys. What game do you want to play? Oh, that's right. Yes, let's see. I think I want to play hide and seek. All right. For all of you, we're going to play hide and seek. If you win, we won't kill you. How does that sound?
okay, so you go hide.
No.
I tried. I'm wearing breastplate.
You really don't recognize us?
Should I?
Rowan's kind of like, what?
Sorry, have I threatened you before? It happens so often, I often forget.
At this point, Vala will start singing. When a humble bard graced to ride along with commander and fury, along came this song.
You need to work on your intonation. You were flat on the last note.
How dare you?
Learn to sing better. I'm sorry, is this going somewhere? And then he gets a glance at Furia again. He goes, wait a second.
Rowan's kind of wondering, just like, yes, is this?
They'll sing the rest later.
You think I'm Booker.
He has a name? His name was Commander.
Oh, are you a twin?
Wow. When we found him, I thought he died. So wait a minute. Where is he?
The Dark Lord killed him.
That makes sense. Always was a bit of a weakling. Never could really hold up. Elizabeth! Yes? Booker's dead. Oh, I thought you said we could kill him. That's what I was told. It's not fair. Did I kill him? And he just kind of looks at Vala with this question of like, did you? Just this look of, did you?
No, it was the Dark Lord.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You said that. No, dearest. The Dark Lord killed him. But that's not fair. I don't make the rules.
That's the first right thing you've said today. Both of you.
Whatever. Do you want to play or not?
What are the rules?
What if we don't?
Well, then we can kill you. I mean, I thought that was fairly obvious. Oh! I know what this is. You're the group that's been going around killing generals, and you mistakenly think you can kill us. That's adorable. Really. Just, wow. A demonstration. Demonstration will make much more sense. Elizabeth, and he just points at a building further down the street. That one. And you just see Elizabeth go, and she waves the wand, and suddenly a house, say this one here, immediately explodes, and you watch his bodies go flying, charred remains hitting the ground. This is how this is going to go. Every single house in this town, we can do that to whenever we want. See, that's why everyone stays where we tell them to. Because, well, yes, we are going to kill you. That's, surprisingly enough, not a huge motivation to a lot of people. But when other people die because of what you did, then they seem to play ball. So, I guess I'll ask you one more time. Do you want to play? I can do this again. Elizabeth! Yes!
Wait.
Oh, boy.
Wonderful. You would not believe how difficult it is to keep her entertained. Honestly, it's a full-time job. But you guys are going to make that much easier. So hide and seek. Very simple game. We have gone and we have hidden in 5 buildings in the town very special orbs. If you can find all 5, you win. However, in addition to these special orbs that we've hidden, there's also 5, I guess they're still special orbs, but if you attempt to touch them or interact with them in any way, they will explode, killing everyone inside. Possibly including you, but after seeing what your friend did here, I think you might survive. But the other people living in the house won't. So your goal is to find the 5 special orbs before you find the 5 bad orbs. Oh, and because this is hide and seek, anytime we see you, we destroy a building. And, because there's only 2 of us and there's 4 of you, there will be eyes in the sky. And one of the eyes in the sky sees you. They will just direct a fireball directly where you are, no matter where you are. It's a pretty good game, if I say so myself. So, in order for it to be fair, you have 20 minutes to hide. And then you can start seeking. Tick tock. And he pulls out a watch and opens it up. Oh, this is going to be so much fun!
It will be.
What do you guys want to do?
Want to do?
Yes, actually.
If I
Or
could,
maybe, what are you going to do?
I do have a question.
Sure.
When she did whatever she did,
Mm-hmm.
did she cast a spell? Did she click something, use a thing?
With your... Go ahead and roll me an Arcana check.
It'll be 16.
16. Okay. There were no verbal, somatic, or material components that you could see, though with her wielding a wand, you wouldn't have seen any material.
But did she like flick a wand? Did she do a thing? Or
As
did
far as
she
you could
just-
tell, there was no spell casting, but as you focused on it a little bit more, you think more likely than not what it was she ended a spell effect. So whatever it was that exploded already existed and was basically paused by some force. And all that she did was she either ended it or activated it, maybe like a having a sigil. You only cast the spell when you activate and create the sigil. Once it's there, the actual activation of the spell on that isn't a casting of any sort. It's just something that happens. So you think more likely than not that's possibly what happened. Either she ended a spell effect that was delaying a spell from activating, or she activated a spell that had already been set. But it wasn't exactly something that was a spell that was cast. Does that make
So
sense?
not necessarily a concentration spell, but they have spells throughout that somehow she was just able to end.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, you guys haven't tested to see
Yeah.
if there was any sort of concentration effect, but with your knowledge of magic, the ability to end... First of all, you can't concentrate on multiple spells.
Yeah.
And even if she did find a way around that, there are hundreds of houses here. The likelihood of any magic user being able to concentrate on hundreds of spells simultaneously it's just not possible.
Yeah. But she was also able to she was also able to specifically choose and end a spell.
Yeah. So you think, again, your knowledge of magic, the only way you can make it make sense is there's something that has basically been cast on effectively every house that simply needs some sort of activation something to make it start. Without being able to examine whatever it is,
Yeah.
that's really all you can tell.
Yeah.
And to be blunt, you're not 100% certain that's what it was. That's just the only magical theory that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are you all going to do?
Well, I'm going with Argenta because that's the only way I'm going to be able to I'm going to be able to stay stealthy if
Okay.
that's the option.
All right, well, you guys can all stay together if you want.
Yeah.
Right now, what you need to decide is you have 20 minutes, which will in 20 minutes, if you run, you can get to most of the town.
Yeah.
So what you need to figure out is, where do you guys want to quote unquote hide? And do you want to stay together? Do you want to be individuals?
Well, I think we huddle up at first,
Okay.
so that way we can decide all of this.
Sure.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking.
What all are we thinking?
Right now,
I-
I think we should move and then
Let's say you guys take the first 5 minutes to get far enough away that they can't hear you at all.
Before,
So you guys are completely fine to
before-
say whatever you want.
yeah, before any of that though,
Okay.
Argento will walk up to this Vinny
Mm-hmm.
and be like, "Bad things happen. We haven't killed every one of the generals. Bad things happen to the ones that were spared. Perhaps we can settle this civilly. I don't know your relationship with Commander, but he was a good friend." So she just hands him Commander's rapier and then walks off.
Ooh. Take an inspiration. Make a mark somewhere on your character sheet, put it in the notes section or whatever, but just make a note that you have something. I'm not going to tell you what it is,
All right.
but just make a note somewhere in your character sheet you have something.
a new friend.
Yeah, he's very into you. He likes long walks on the beach, and white roses actually.
The romance bar went up.
Yep.
I added it into my character sheet
Okay,
that I have
cool.
something.
You have something. So, again, you guys take the first 5 minutes. You have 15 minutes after this to get to a place, and that 5 minutes is also going to basically contain the conversation. So, your conversation, you are completely alone. You don't have to worry about anybody hearing you. Go for it.
All right, so are we really doing this?
Well, okay.
What do we have?
My first thought is
We fight them out, right?
anything we do that's fights them outright, they're going to make an example of the town. That's how.
Yeah.
Second point, the game's rigged. Let's just assume that.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I do feel that they play this with anyone, so it might not be geared towards a specialized skill set, but still, they could rig it.
If we threaten their toys, would that conceivably save them, or would that just piss them off more and then they explode more people?
I don't think they care about the people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. No, they don't care about
No.
the people, but they care about their toys. I'm talking about their home. I'm talking about their
I-
mansion.
Maybe. I mean, from what I was gathering, he cares more about her being satiated, and
Yeah.
she's more the problematic one.
Which I take to mean that she may get, if she gets upset, then if we get any kind of an upper hand, she's still going to throw a tantrum.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play along then.
Yeah.
Play their game and see where that gets us. I mean, I just
The way I feel throughout the play along for now or fight outright and when we're done.
Whatever it was she did, she
If
ended
we
the
do
spell.
that, yeah.
Right.
Whatever she did, she ended the spell. She didn't cast a spell.
right. I just feel like we play the game. If we win, they will allow us to live, and then we're gonna have to fight them.
I don't think anyone's won their game.
I mean, we might not have to fight them. essentially we killed one general through a fight, and the other one got what do they refer to that as? Arbitrated into non-existence.
So hopefully we can embarrass them enough. Dark Lord will.
I mean, do we really want to fight them if it comes to it? I mean,
I'm all for fighting them. It's just that I don't want to deal. I don't want the collateral damage.
I agree.
no,
I
Yeah,
agree.
but
that was why I revealed myself
here,
in the first place.
if it comes to it, do we want to fight them? I mean, the Commander's siblings.
They're kind of
Where
dicks.
me they come from, where we come from.
They didn't
I
seem
mean,
to care about your friend, so
right. If these are his actual siblings, they're dicks, and they kind of deserve it. So, all right, we play along.
But they could have, that could be their suffering. I mean, we could say the same thing about you being a prisoner. I mean,
Look, again, I'm sorry I tortured your father, but I didn't enjoy that. That was my suffering. Those
yeah,
800
how do
thread
we
sheets,
know?
they scratched every night at my soul.
not to put too fine a point on this. Are we going to debate this, or are we going to?
No, I believe that the choice
Yeah,
is made. We're going to play along
yeah,
Okay,
and,
so
and
now,
hope for the best.
first question.
where
You
do
mean
we start?
Elvin Cotton 5,000 thread count?
Again, like sandpaper to the soul. um,
So how do we find these orbs?
That's a good question. And how do you differentiate between a trap orb and a real one?
Yeah, yeah.
You guys suddenly hear this booming voice that seems to come from everywhere. 15 minutes left.
Uh, I mean, do we then go out my house? That doesn't seem really efficient.
No, it's not. They didn't really set a time limit on this either. It could, in theory, go until exhaustion.
Okay, if this is a game, and Rowan's going to, I don't know if it's going to be more of an insight or if I need to roll an investigation or perception. If this is a game, and they have this place rigged to be their game board, would the game board have demarcations on them? So did they leave signs and clues in their game?
we have a map of the town.
Well, we have a map. We don't have necessarily their
We
game
ha-
board map.
We have a map. Let's look at the map. Do we see any?
That's what I was actually asking Jody, and I was waiting.
Sorry.
Because we borrowed the kid's map.
But so I'm asking, so if this is
So-
a game, if this is a game and they have it rigged up, essentially what I'm asking, is there markers, demarcation? Like, how do they keep track of everything? If this is a multiple game choice, do they have ways of, deciding between which game? So I guess I'm looking for would it be an insight on how they have their game set up? Or a perception, looking for something in their game, or
To be perfectly honest, you don't know. The map that you have,
Yeah.
the
That's the kids map.
Yeah, the marks and stuff that you have on there doesn't indicate anything that you think would indicate an orb or anything like that. It's mostly like, Billy lives here, or, really nice cat, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So what I am asking is the board we're walking on, the game board we're walking on, the city, the town. These two's game board. Do I see anything to include their game, or is it just a town?
As far as you can tell, it's a town. Like they're again, you guys are basically standing somewhere around here-ish, or here-ish. So you're just looking at a city.
They didn't.
Go ahead.
Sorry, they didn't describe how big these orbs were, did they?
They just said orbs.
Physically described, no. But Vincent would have kind of shown you around the size of like a crystal ball or something akin to that.
I shall use a second level locate object spell.
Okay.
Looking for orb.
All right. And how far away does locate object work?
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet. Okay. So depending on where you guys are.
I'm presuming we would have kept moving. I don't know if we would have stood still.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing I need you guys to do is I need you guys to pick a direction that you guys are going and tell me where you are when you're casting this spell.
So I'm presuming we're heading to the center of town.
That's what I was assuming too.
Are we following the roads or are we cutting through?
I'm thinking we kind of cut through, and I would
Yeah.
probably have cast it about here.
Okay. So I guess my question for you guys, how would you get here? Would you just like, I need to draw. Where's draw? It's freehand this. Okay. So you guys started here. So did you just kind of walk here and walk through these to get here?
Think so.
Cool. I can deal with that. Don't need to draw that anymore. Really? Thank you. Really quickly, we had a redemption from Moondrop with a lot of 6s after it. So inspiration in D&D 5th edition basically just gives the players the ability to give themselves advantage on a single roll, which means that they can roll a d20 twice and take the higher of those two rolls. But there isn't a mechanic for summoning the King of Hell or anything like that in my campaign setting. In fact, in the specific place that they're actually cut off from the gods completely. So if you'd like to give Vala some inspiration, you are more than welcome to. But
helpful.
giving the inspiration, you don't get to kind of put you don't get to put like a clarification on it. That particular redemption is just so you can, basically reward the players for something that you think is cool or something like that. But I don't specifically have a redemption that allows you to interact with the game in that particular way or tell the players how to play their characters. I generally like to let the players play their own characters, and it's very rare that I'll ever do something that basically dictates how the players are required to play their characters. So if you want, I can refund the money or the channel points back to you, or like I said, you can just give Vala inspiration or anything like that. So, but no, we don't have anything that allows you to basically tell the players, hey, I want you to do this. So that being said, if you are in this particular place, I will say within 1,000 feet, I'll say, I gotta look at the spell again. It's locate object, right?
Yes.
So I have to see specifically what it says. Locate object. Describe or name an object that is familiar to you.
I think.
Okay, so because all it does is give you a direction, and then can locate the nearest object of a particular kind. All right, so I have to figure out the nearest. You guys said you're right here, right? It's going to say directly north.
Okay.
Is where it is. And does it give you...
It-
just sense the direction to the object's location.
Right. And it lasts for 10 minutes.
10 minutes. So if you get within 30 feet of it, you'll be able to see it. Is what it says here, right? Oh, wait, no. Spoken, locate the nearest object, visual kind. So yeah, you know it's dead north where you are right now, or pretty damn close to dead north.
Okay. I think then I'd be like, okay, there's one this way. And start walking on the road heading north.
Okay?
Oh, speaking of which, is there any way but when that clock runs up, do we need to be stealthed
We need to
again,
be
Shinta?
hidden.
And as he says that, you hear 10 minutes remaining.
Can Argenta do that again?
I'll do it when they're actually looking.
Okay.
Right. I think we'll want to be hiding a moment or two before time runs out.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's when we'll do it.
All right, so another 5 minutes, and if you're following the road, you'll be roughly here.
Okay.
And it is no longer due north, it's north-northwest, if you understand cardinal directions.
So,
Yeah, like this way.
So it could be this, could be this, or it could
yeah,
be...
I think I would like walk to this point here
Okay?
and see.
As you get there, you hear 5 minutes. And when you're here, it's due north, and it feels relatively close.
So that orange house right there.
Yeah, I think we want to knock on the orange house. How do we get into these houses? Start searching around.
It's up to you. Timer's clicking down.
So when we so when we get to this point, does the pointer shift?
As far as you can tell, since you're really, really close, it seems to be somewhere in this building.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So we
like-
know it's somewhere in there. I'm guessing at this point it fades because that only lasts for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Because you technically casted at 15 minutes, and now you're at 5. So
So, okay, we should probably begin hiding someplace.
and like
Yeah.
all the other houses, this house is boarded up, sealed. All the windows are shuttered. All the doors are locked. Everything is shut, so you can't see inside.
Just as a reminder, this could either be a good orb or a bad orb.
Right. We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to investigate that part of it.
Do we go inside now, or do we hide now?
I think we try to go inside. I say
Yeah.
we can hide
1
inside the house.
minute. As you
With it,
guys hear that, you start seeing these strange orbs start appearing in the sky that basically look like giant lidless eyeballs that start kind of just floating around and scanning the ground. And they're
With
about
all-
50 feet up.
when I hear 1 minute and with all of them around me, while they're just discussing, I'll use my last second level and pass without trace assault.
Okay.
Is there a way into the house? Yeah, everything is boarded up, and you said.
I mean, there's a door, but it looks locked, and all of the windows are shut. So if you want to try and break down a window or something like that, you can do that. If you want to try and go through the door, if you want to try
Lock.
if you want to test the door, you can. Right now, again, you haven't really done anything, so you wouldn't really know.
Well,
I will test.
Realm will touch the door. It's like he's actually kind of he knows the smart decision, and he's kind of in a he is kind of wondering what we should do.
Yeah, Argento will just try and open the door first.
Okay, as you open it, it's locked, and you can also feel something heavy on the other side, probably like a I can't remember what the word is now. A big piece of wood on the other side blocking it. There's a word for it that my brain won't remember.
Bard?
Yeah, a bard. Bard.
Okay.
My brain's just gone. I'm doing 7 different things at once.
Argento kind of just looks back at you all locked in Bard.
Okay, we've got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, do we want, I mean, do we try to float around?
I mean, pass without trace muffles sound around us, right?
For the most part, yeah. It also stops you from leaving footprints.
Yeah. Is there a window that's right by the door?
Yeah.
So Argenta, because we have like 30 seconds left, and she knows that like sound is a bit muffled. This isn't the loudest thing in the world. Wraps her hand in cloth and will essentially punch through the window to try and reach around and unlock the door.
Sure. They're wooden shutters, so breaking through it's going for a normal person would be difficult. So I need an athletics check that you're probably going to make.
That is a 32.
32. Yeah. Shung! You reach in. It's a really heavy thing of wood that's barring the door. But again, you rolled a 32. So it takes a bit, and you're relatively certain that the muscles in your arm are going to be a little bit sore after this because it's a weird angle. But you're able to pull it up, and right as you hear like this final countdown of 5, 4, you're able to open the door and kind of rush your friends in before you hear 1, begin.
We're in the house.
Okay.
There's not another scared family directly in front of
And
them.
there is. I'm just doing 2 things right now. I'm real sorry.
No.
So yeah, as you come in, you're a little bit focused on getting everyone in before everything goes wrong. So you come in, you shut the door, and then you look around and you see this young couple, probably no more than like 18 or 19 years old. It's a man and a woman, and they're both kind of sitting on chairs. It looks like you've just come in, and the entryway opens right into. Looks like their dining area, and so they're sitting there. You can see that there's some food, and really quickly. Vala, go ahead and take an inspiration from Moondrop 6666.
Thank you, Moondrop.
So they're sitting there. You can see some food that doesn't look particularly appetizing, and they're both sitting there, kind of mid. Or the woman is sitting there, kind of with food still on her fork, and she's not sure. The man has taken his fork and he's just kind of pointing it at you, but he's not really like. It just seemed like an average thing to do.
We're here for the orb. Sorry, I will stage whisper. We are here for the orb.
And as soon as you start making any noise, like, and they kind of look around, and the woman kind of gets up, and you see her like taking cloths and things like that, and going to the window that you just broke, and trying to kind of put it back together, and then use cloths that you can see were kind of falling on the ground. It looks like they effectively kind of soundproofed their house as much as they could with things, and so she's kind of putting it in there, and then the man kind of looks at you and just kind of points to another room further into the house.
Okay. I think we follow, or we start heading towards the other room.
So,
Argenta reaches into her bag of holding, puts down a ration as payment, and keeps moving.
okay. So as you get into what looks like their living room, the man is still kind of looking over at the window, and the woman has done as good a job as she can, but it's obviously, now that it's broken, it's just not going to be the sound barrier that it used to be. So he kind of looks at you guys again, and he kind of pushes you guys into another room that you realize is the bedroom, and then closes the door, and you see him kind of push things into the door jamb and that to make it as silent as possible. And he turns to you and goes, "What the hell are you doing?"
We are looking for an orb. I believe there's one in this house.
Why?
Unfortunately, they're making us play one of their games, and we have to
And as
find.
you say that, all the blood drains from his face, and he becomes white as a sheet, and you watch him kind of
Argenta
swaying
will
a little
catch
bit.
him.
And yeah, Argenta, as soon as you realize, oh, you know exactly what's going to happen, you're just there, and he out like a light.
Rowan will immediately go into his either healer's kit or his herbalism kit, smelling salts.
Okay, as you do that, he's like,
And he's like, shh, 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 shh.
and he's kind of looking around, and he kind of looks at the hand that's on his mouth.
I would have removed it. I wouldn't have kept it there.
He goes, "I thought you guys were a nightmare."
Not the first time I've been called that, to be fair.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be an orb here.
You guys can't be here. I know what happens to people that play their games. We just got married.
If we find the orb, we'll leave, and you two will be back
I can't help
doing
you.
whatever you do.
If they find out that I helped you, you don't
All
know
right.
what they'll do.
All right. We're gonna search the house. Just go back and eat dinner. We never interacted.
And you didn't help. Literally pretend we are not here.
I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And you see, like, he just over and over, he's like,
Yeah.
I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that.
Remember, we see that you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And he kind of gets up, and he's still a little bit shaky, but he goes to the door and he starts removing stuff so he can open the door. And then he kind of gestures for his wife to kind of come in here.
Oh.
And,
I was like, this Rowan character, so keep going.
okay. And so he gestures for his wife and puts her on the bed and just goes, and then kind of looks for you guys to go out the door.
All right.
Liliane, if the orb's here, could your abilities find it? Because Roland's wondering if it's the psychometry,
Oh,
since he has seen you use it before.
yeah.
And I can
Oh,
do locate orb.
quiet. I do it. You do it. I do it. Don't. But I is quiet. Maybe it's not enough. Oh, quiet you make. Say something, please.
Okay. And that's just an action, right?
Oh,
Or does it take a specific amount of time?
it is
Okay, cool. So, so the Grim Psychometry, are you focusing on an item, or are you just focusing on the area?
The area.
Okay,
Maybe I can see where they wait or the something like that.
okay, absolutely. So, as you are kind of focusing, as has happened before, you kind of see the area that you're in your mind's eye, and you slowly start to see time regress a little bit. And you can see very, very quickly, you see kind of a wedding ceremony that happens here. You find it strange that your Grim Psychometry would show you such a joyous occasion. And as you're kind of thinking about it, you notice that there are bloodstains on the floor that seem very fresh when the wedding is going on. You start to realize, oh, and it goes back a little bit further. You see other people that are here that seem to be very, very upset, and it keeps going back further. And suddenly you see a vision of Vincent and Elizabeth coming in. Vincent pulls his rapier faster than you've seen anyone pull a blade before. And he just pulls it out, wipes it on his arm, puts it back in, and you watch as the two people that were kind of standing there, their heads fall one way and their bodies fall another. And then he looks over at Elizabeth, and Elizabeth just kind of claps a little bit, and she takes out this strange blue orb. And she just looks around, and she goes over to like a cabinet and puts it there, and then it falls to the ground. So she picks it up, and she goes to a couple different places, and finally she just gets mad. And she kind of stamps her foot. And Vincent rolls his eyes. He goes over to one of the floorboards and just slams his foot down on it hard, and you watch as it cracks. And he uses the butt of his rapier to just kind of pry up the floorboard, and he just looks, and she goes, and he puts it in there, puts it that, and then she casts a mend spell on it, and none the wiser, and then shoo, you're back.
And quit the way
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
It's fine. You've done it enough that and I can't remember the damn ability. So sure, you made your history check. So yeah.
I'll quit. And wait when I talk to everyone else and go for that floorboard.
Okay. So the floorboard's there, and again, it looks as pristine as the rest of the house. But again, you're familiar with the mending spell, so It's what it does.
And oh, did anyone have anything to
You told us what he did, right?
Yeah.
Argenta's just gonna mimic it.
Okay.
Alright.
So as you
I
did
mean, I was trying to avoid the bad demon, but that was too.
so, as you go over, go ahead and give me an athletics check just to see how quickly and how effectively you do this. Again, it's almost a waste of time to get you to roll athletics check, but it makes me feel like I'm in control. So,
Alright,
like asking for the check makes me feel powerful.
let's see what happens. Kind of grits her teeth because I just want to do this quickly. So that becomes a 30.
You go in and just like axe kick the floor and crash. You're able to break it with very little difficulty, and as soon as you do, you suddenly see this red light start shining through just the tiny little cracks in the roof and everything.
Is
Go ahead.
is it loud because of the pass without a trace?
Because it's actually like Pass Without a Trace muffles your just normal movement sounds, but it doesn't completely silence anything. So this was a really loud noise because you're breaking wood.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be covered by the Pass Without a Trace. Good thinking though, and I'm happy that you're thinking in that direction.
You said the light's red.
Yeah, it's just this deep red light that's kind of moving through cracks and things like that. But due to the fact that you have like a roof and walls in your way, you're not exactly sure where the light is coming from. But it did happen as soon as you made that sound. What would you all like to do?
Argenta will just have her hand on her dagger just in case, but very slowly we'll like move the debris so we can see if this orb is here.
Okay, go ahead and make me a stealth check to see if you can do it quietly. Another thing
26.
is almost a waste of time.
26.
26, cool. So yeah, you slowly kind of move things around, and sure enough, you can see sitting kind of just barely into the foundation is this blue-ish looking orb.
Do I touch it?
I mean,
Can I do an Arcana check to see if I believe the orb is trapped?
Sure. Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
$15.
So, looking at it, it looks very orb-like. And your knowledge of kind of magical traps and things like that, as far as you can tell, you don't see anything on it that in your mind would constitute some sort of magical trap. Like there's no sigils of warding or anything like that. So as far as you can tell, like it's obviously magical, but beyond that, you've got no clue.
Think this one is trapped, but we don't all have to be here to find out.
well, I'm worried about them. And I was set up for the baby couple.
They're at least in that other room. If you guys want to join them in the bedroom, I can take this out.
I think the second you touch it, it's probably going to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Argenta will like pull out her
And
frost dagger. No, it's just that gives me fire resistance once it's out.
Could we essentially do we like if that's in here, close the door, they put the table up to like as an attempt at the blast radius. We don't know if it's going to be the entire house or it'll just be this room.
Well, the them and what they did to the other house. My money died to the house.
And try to keep them all, try to sneak them outside and hide, but we've got red glowing eye now.
Yeah. There's not a ton of furniture in here. Like there's a table, there's some cabinets and the things like that. If you wanted to try and kind of barricade the bedroom, there's enough here that you could do that. And having someone like Vala here who's very familiar with explosives in general, you probably figure out, like, unless this is like orb of destruction level explosions, you think there's probably a better than average chance that the additional things in the way, as long as they don't turn into shrapnel, would probably deaden the result of any explosion. But yeah, you don't think there's anywhere near enough things in here that you could ensure that they would be 100% safe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wait.
What?
So Leomund's tiny hut.
Yeah.
It's an interesting spell.
Theoretically, I could cast that. And that would protect at least a 10-foot radius sphere of things.
I'm going to point out you have to be in the hut.
Right. So either that means that I can't throw myself on the grenade unless the hut can also keep things from going out. Spells and other magical effects can't extend through the dome or be cast through it.
It's you guys are peeing on the ignition again.
Let me-
This is not what that spell is designed to do.
Let
But
me just ask something, Jody. Did they, from memory, did they say that the orb would blow up, or that something else would blow
They
up?
said bad orb. That's what they described it as. They said there were good orbs and there were bad orbs.
Yeah.
you think that Vincent in particular probably used those terms on purpose?
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, Ro, when you've dealt with manipulators before, you know the value of ambiguous terms.
Yeah.
And he said the people in the house might probably wouldn't survive a battle.
I mean, they're effectively level 0 characters.
Whatever
Yeah.
you guys are going to do it quickly. We have to grab the orbs no matter
Yeah.
what.
Right. So
Since
follow
you guys have been kind of discussing this for a little while, you do watch as the red light slowly starts to move and seems to not be focusing on the house anymore.
Vala will start ritually casting Lehman's tiny hut in such a way that I can protect them in the bedroom, as well as be as far away from the orb as I can while keeping the hut inside the house.
Okay. Now, hang on.
Unfortunately, this means I will not be able to grab the orb.
I'm gonna grab the orb.
Okay. So the rest of us, I see the value in this. Also, as a reminder, you three are death warded.
That's a This is a sacrifice I am willing to let you make.
Whenever that hut goes up, Argenta's gonna grab
Like that.
I can't believe you Farquaaded this.
it.
Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Yeah. So it takes you a minute to cast the spell. With the fact that Pass Without a Trace is still on, the verbal components are not loud enough that it seems like they've gone outside the area. So you make Leomin's tiny hut. The man and wife are sitting there. They're still terrified of you, and now you're casting spells in their house, and you are not making this better for them. But as you do it, you can choose it to be opaque or clear.
I'm gonna make it clear
Right,
so we can see what happens.
The rest of you guys are in Leomin's tidy hut. Vala, you reach down. As soon as your fingers touch the orb, you feel this energy start charging the orb. Your first instinct is to drop it, but your fingers are fused with the orb currently. You feel the energy rushing up your arm into your chest. You feel this kind of rush of everything just happening all at once. And unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this, what was that?
I've reached enlightenment.
Yes, and now you understand.
That would be brilliant.
You have broken yourself out of the what's it called? The cycle of suffering. I think I can't remember. It's been a long time since I studied Buddhism, folks.
I was going to say you touch the orb and all of a sudden you're talking to Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Christopher Lee's just sitting there and he's explaining exactly the sound a person makes when they get stabbed in the back, in very fine detail that you think a normal person should know this detail, but that's Christopher Lee. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TrainerJody. I'm also going to have a Let's Play series of Vision of Mana going up very soon. And my daily vlog generally talks about D&D stuff. So otherwise, that is going to be all for us today. And I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.